Alright guys, welcome. So in this video today, I am going to be going over Tony Robbins, I am not your guru, and I have a big question for you at the end, so please stick to it. So in this video, I chose this video today as I actually watched a video about an entrepreneur. He's talking about his struggles and his successes, and he actually mentioned this movie, and he said he changed his life and he watched it 15 times, and I was just like, wow, that's crazy. And so I'd only watched it once. So I decided to watch it again today just to kind of see what else I could learn from it. So I'm going to share with you the biggest takeaways I had from this movie, and hopefully you can relate, or if you have any questions, so you can put those in the comments. So first is what I noticed is a lot of people came to Tony with a very surface level problem. So they came to him and they said one girl started with her diet, and then he kind of broke down, other issues she had. And some people, one guy just went out and said that he was suicidal. Actually, I think there was two people that he highlighted in that video, which obviously isn't surface level. It's a little deeper than that. But that's the thing you have to do with your problems, is you have to get down deeper. You have to figure out why you have that problem. So many times we deal with just the symptoms and we don't deal with the actual problem. So, for instance, the guy who was suicidal, he was just being very hard on himself, and it really hit close to home for me because I have suicidal thoughts, and if you watch my other video, my father actually committed suicide. But for me, suicide is more like I have like suicidal fantasies. So it's not so much like I'm worthless, I need to die. Most of it is just thoughts that cross my mind. I kind of, for people who don't know what I'm talking about, I kind of think of like, if you ever watched the movie Fight Club, how he has these like fantasies that he's in a car accident or plane accident. And I've actually had those since I was a kid, even before I even knew what suicide was. And when I was a kid, I kind of played with it. I was like, ooh, if this building fell down, I would jump over there. Or if this guy was coming towards me, if he were attacking me with a knife, I would do this. And so they weren't really like scary. They were almost exciting. And so as I got older, and I started to get depression after, mainly after my father died, the suicidal thoughts became a little darker. They became a little deeper, and for me, I kind of, to me it was hard to take in, especially, I was in my mid-30s before I ever experienced depression. So I didn't know how to deal with that, and I think that's kind of what happened with my dad. He was a successful businessman. He was an entrepreneur. I think just towards the end of his life, he wasn't successful anymore, and he didn't know how to handle it. And so, and the reason I'm going through all this, because to me, that helps me. It's actually talking about it. So hopefully that helps you. Talking about your problems, really kind of just putting a flashlight to it, or they say that sunlight is the best remedy. So that's what I encourage you to do. If you're dealing with any kind of depression or sadness, talk to somebody about it, even if it's just a friend or a mentor or a coworker, or if you need to go seek professional help, I highly encourage you to do it. Like I said, for me, just talking about it in general, it really helps me a lot. But anyways, and that comes to the next issue, is the biggest, and he mentioned this in the movies, the biggest problem people have is they think they shouldn't have problems. And that's one of the things I had to learn too. Like I said, I was like, my entire life, even though I had a kind of a rough childhood, I had a job since I was like 10, literally. Like I delivered papers when I was 10 years old, and I always had I remember having like a lemonade stand. I remember just random stuff, but I had a job basically my entire life. So I always had money. Even though we were poor, I always had money. So it's kind of weird. But in my late 30s, that's when I started to deal with depression and other issues too. But I had to learn that that the pain that I was dealing with was actually there to help me. Kind of like working out helps you build muscles. Pain helps you build spiritual muscles or emotional muscles, and he talks about that. He talks about he's able to deal with more because he dealt with a lot more. So that's the thing. That brings us to the next point: is your pain is actually your power. So whatever you're dealing with, whether it's depression or suicide, or maybe it's lack of self-love, or maybe you doubt yourself, or maybe you just don't truly appreciate yourself as you should, that's actually your power. You just need to fine-tune it. You need to work on it. So maybe find something to love about yourself, or find something to love about other people. Start there. That's what's helped me a lot, is I just love other people, and I see so many things, so many positive things. I usually see the best in people, and some people say that's a bad thing, but I don't really think it is. But I try to do that for myself when I'm having bad days, and that's what I was starting to talk about earlier with my depression. Now it became more personal. My suicidal thoughts were like, well, you're never going to be successful, and you're never going to do this, and so they kind of turned darker. But I had to learn to use that to benefit me, to motivate me, to encourage me, and so I encourage you to do the same. So one of the other points I brought up is find your addiction. He talks about helping others to alleviate pain is his addiction. That's what you need to do too. And that's what I encourage you to do. That's what I try to do too. Is find one thing you're addicted to. Find the thing that you do regardless of receiving a reward, or regardless of not being praised for, regardless of anything that you may, secondary benefits you may give from it. Just find the one thing. I've always been intrigued by crackheads. Because they always find a way to get their crack. They'll, not eat for days. They won't brush their teeth. They won't shower. They won't keep a job, but they always find a way to get their crack, which is kind of funny. I'm not trying to poke fun of an addiction, but maybe you need to do that for yourself. Find the thing that motivates you, that drives you, that encourages you. And that's kind of things I work on too, because sometimes we have, like I said, these surface level goals that I want to help people, or I want to do this, but in reality we really want to help ourselves. In reality we really want to love ourselves. In reality we really want to ourselves to be happy. I've always said I'm a big fan of the helper's high. If you know what that means, is the happiness you get by helping others. So I don't, I like to help people, but I don't want to sound like a saint when I say that. I really do that for myself, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. So find your addiction. Next point I have is, questions control your life. So for the longest time, I don't know if I mentioned it or not yet, but I'm starting an insurance agency, and it's been way harder than I thought it was going to be. I honestly thought I was going to start it and kind of like the field of dreams, that once I built it, all these magical things were going to happen. It's not been that way, but literally even today, I was, the CRM I had, I thought was great. I liked it, but I knew the bottleneck was going to be capital. I knew that every person I brought in, I was going to have to spend money on bringing them. I actually found a CRM today that, and I'm excited. I'm not going to open it till tomorrow because I still have to stay up all night playing with it. But tomorrow I'm going to set it up, and I'm really excited because there's no cost for adding in new employees, and so I'll be able to scale a lot faster. And honestly, literally the last week I've been like, how am I going to build this CRM? How am I going to build my agency with a CRM that charges me every single time I bring in a new employee? And I was like, that's really going to slow me down. How am I going to, I'm just going to need, do I charge my employees? I couldn't think of I just couldn't think of how I was going to grow fast. But now with this today, so what I'm saying, bringing back to the point of questioning, questions control your life, is what questions are you asking yourself? The question I asked myself a lot before was what am I doing wrong? But now I'm gonna ask myself, how can I help somebody today? How can I benefit somebody else today? How can I grow my agency today? So I'm gonna try to ask better questions of life. And I had been doing that recently, and that's actually what started this YouTube channel, was what can I do today to grow my business? I don't have enough leads, I don't have enough customers, I don't have enough contacts, but what can I do today that's going to benefit long term? So that's actually what started this YouTube channel, is asking better questions. So that brings another thing, is progress equals happiness. He mentions that in the movie, and that's just a big thing for him and for a lot of people. And I know there's so many people that say, oh, I just want to lay on the beach and drink margaritas. And then, have you ever actually done that? Like, I did that for quite a bit, and you get bored after a while. I mean, I love the beach, I love margaritas, I love tacos, I love all the things you can think of that I associate with the beach. But after a while, it gets tiring. So you need progress. You need something that's building you, that's growing you, that's challenging you, that's struggling, that you struggle with. But so progress equals happiness. And then the last point is the he talks about the poem that changed his life. It's called The Will to Win. And actually Les Brown actually recites this. I've heard him mention it a couple times. It's a great poem. There's actually a YouTube channel or YouTube video if you want to hear it. If you just put The Will to Win, it'll pop up, and it even says like, it's mentioned in I'm Not Your Guru, blah, blah, blah. And that's one of the things I want to ask you before I get to my last question, is I'm actually thinking of doing a segment on poems for entrepreneurs. I love poems. I'm thinking about doing one myself. So let me know if you think that's a good idea. Let me know if you have a poem you want to hear. I told my friend that we watched Dead Poet Society, and I told her I wanted to do that, and she was just like, I'm good. And so maybe I'll just do it here on YouTube with you guys if you guys are interested. So if you have a poem you want to hear me say, put it in the comments. But my question is, if pain is your power, what's your superpower? What is the thing that you have that nobody else has, nobody else can take away from you? Maybe you're able to deal with more pain than other people. Maybe you're able to focus. Maybe you have more empathy. Maybe you have more love. But work on your power. Work on your superpower. And it's going to be pain for a while. I've seen so many YouTube videos of people that use their struggles to actually make them a better person, whether it's a disease or an accident that actually made them a better person. So I think that's one of the things that we need to work on is what's your pain. But if you like this video, please like it, please subscribe. I'm gonna have other videos like this. Like I said, this is movies for entrepreneurs, but I'm also thinking of doing poems for entrepreneurs. So let me know what you think. All right, thanks, bye.